Have you ever faced a day that you would describe as being the day you weren't ready for? I know that day for me was the day that came, and it was too early in the morning. The day came too fast. The day moved too fast. It felt like a dream, but a few years prior to that day, they found a heart murmur in my dad. And so there had been all this lead up, all this preparation, and finally the day had come where it's like, okay, at this point, you're healthy, we can do the surgery, and it's going to be major surgery, but there's not going to be a better opportunity than now. Okay, well, at that point, it's kind of a no-brainer. We got to do it, but nobody wants to go into open heart surgery. So they had prepped everything. We had 3 options on how they were going to repair his heart valve and what they were going to do for that. But that day just came too quickly, and I wasn't ready for it. And that morning, we got there, and it was 6:30 in the morning. We gathered around the bed, and my dad, and I don't think I've ever actually seen fear in my dad's eyes until that day. I'll never, ever forget that, because that was the moment we didn't actually know if we would see him again. Yeah, that's one heck of a goodbye. It's one thing to say goodbye to somebody that you know, but it's another thing to say goodbye to someone that you don't know. Which way is this going to go? So that day was here, and so they wheeled him out. That's the only time I've ever seen fear in my dad's eyes, and they took him off, and they went into surgery. And I, as everything began, we also got an incredible education. And I'm kind of ashamed to admit, after a 6-month lead up to this point in the surgery, I've been given books and what to expect, and hey, he's not going to look right when he comes out, he's going to have 30 tubes coming out of him, this is heart surgery, right? And it's a lot further along today than it was 10 years ago, it's a lot safer today than it was then, but still, there's a huge risk, and we don't know which option is going to work. So, hey, by the way, as we're doing this all, we're preparing you, and we're teaching you. And so he's in the surgery, and one of the things that they taught us was how they actually restart the heart. They were giving us updates as far as the surgery was going, but I had never known this, right? You've seen it on TV, you've seen it in movies, I've seen it 1,000 times. When you restart a heart, you take the paddles, clear, right? You explode the chest. It's always clear, it's always, you shock the person back to life. That's how you do it. So we're standing there, and then this nurse practitioner is telling us the story about how they actually restart a heart. And I never even really thought about this. I mean, really, how do you deal with a broken heart? And when they had gone through the entire process, and thank the Lord, they were able to repair it. They were able to use option 1. It didn't require a pig valve. It didn't require a replacement. We were really, really thankful the way that it turned out. And option 1 worked, because we had option 1, we had option 2, we had option 3, and then we had option D. Option 1 was definitely the preference. And so option 1 was working, and they told us that, and then they described to us how they restarted his heart. And when you're dealing, when you're dealing with a human heart that's been stopped, they don't shock it back to life with paddles. No. There is a surgeon who takes the heart, holds it in both hands, warms it back up to body temperature, and then gently imprints the pulse of life back into the heart. With two fingers putting the pulse of life back into the heart. That's how you restart a heart. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, I'm like, man, we deal with broken-hearted people all the time. Whether they're our friends, whether it's in the day-to-day, whether it's in life, we're constantly dealing with the broken-hearted, and that really surprised me, because that was a pretty important lesson. If you want to bring a broken heart back to life, you don't shock it, right? You gently warm it up with love and imprint the pulse of life back into it. And so the surgery wrapped up, and my dad, he came out of that, and he was in the room, and he did not look good. I mean, it's a very surreal thing to watch someone who's just coming out of heart surgery. But we're sitting there, we're watching him recovering, and as that process was going, I asked, I said, hey, can I shake the hand of the man who restarted my dad's heart? And I was talking to the head surgeon, and he's like, no, you can't. I'm like, what do you mean? I can't say thank you? I can't say thank you for saving my dad's life? He's like, no, you can't, and here's why. If we let you shake the hand of the person that restarted your dad's heart, he's getting the credit. And if that happens, it's going to destroy the team that actually worked on him. And it's going to tear him apart because one person is getting the credit for what many, many doctors have done over time. In fact, it was your dad's family practitioner that found the heart murmur in the first place. You're not asking to shake his hand. Now, that hit me pretty hard. I was not happy in that conversation, but it taught a really important lesson. If you're ever working in a team, right, which all of us are at one point or another, and most of us are daily, if you're ever working in a team, you know what doesn't matter? The person who gets the credit for restarting a heart or for doing this one thing. No, what actually matters is the cohesiveness of the team. Because you know what, if you look back over life, if you see one person's life who has changed, was it ever just one person who brought that change on? No. Now, how many people were there along the way that were a part of that change? And so when you're working in leadership, when you're working in teams, this is the lesson that I've taken from this. When you're working with the brokenhearted, remember, you don't shock somebody back to life. You gently imprint the pulse of life onto their heart. You hold them first. And when you're working in a team and you're leading people, you don't make sure that somebody gets credit for something. No, you remember all the people along the way that had an impact. And it doesn't matter that one person gets the credit.